question. Do you think that we have deterred Russia from continuing their operations as far as trying to infiltrate our election system for the 2018 election?
No, we have not. Based on the testimony in this room last month from our intelligence chiefs.
So we're facing the same, if not worse?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Secretary Nielsen?
Yes, they will. There's no reason to believe they will not attempt again.
That's from yesterday's Senate Intel Committee hearing on election security. Still a lot of work to do to secure the midterms. U.S. Intel officials already warning of Russia trying to interfere with the voting this November. Let's bring in Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma. He is on the Senate Homeland Security Committee and Senate Intelligence Committee. A man who knows a lot about what is going on. Senator, what can you tell us about Russia's intentions with our upcoming elections?
Well, we know what they were doing in 2016, so we should assume they're going to do something even more in 2018, or at least try the same again. A lot of what they did in 2016 was probing our systems, looking at states, looking at their voter registration data, looking at the equipment that they use, looking at the process, looking at how they verify absentee ballots and such. So they were clearly trying to be able to go through and learn as much as they could through the system. We should assume they're going to try to use that information in 2018.
So is this based on an assumption at this point, or is there any evidence that they are already getting involved?
No, there's no evidence other than their social media campaign still continues. What they did starting in 2014, and people lose track of that, but they started in 2014 putting all the pieces together so they can do the social media campaign in 2016 during the election time period. They have that same structure in place. Some of the same actors still continue.
What is Congress currently doing about this as far as an upcoming bill to somehow prevent election meddling?
Yeah, I have a bill. It's a bipartisan bill. We're working through the process. We've gone through multiple iterations. We have another version that's actually come out this week dealing with some basics that we need to be able to do. First, reaffirming states run elections. The federal government doesn't run elections. That's a state responsibility constitutionally, and it's at our best when we do it that way, quite frankly, for security reasons as well. You get a wide, diverse group of different pieces of equipment, different styles. No one individual international actor or domestic actor can come in and affect all of our elections if states continue to run it. We've got to have security clearances, though. It was months and months before individuals actually found out what was going on when the Russians were trying to engage. It's very helpful if we have much faster response between the states and the federal government, and sharing between the states back to the federal government. We've got to be able to fix that. And then there are still 5 states and a total of 12, at least in some of their counties, that they can't audit their elections. They're on completely electronic machines, no paper trail, no receipts. If there's a problem with that particular machine, or if that particular software gets hacked when they do the update before the election, then there's no way to be able to verify that. So that is a problem. I
know Chairman Burr, chairman of the Senate Intel Committee, is calling this an urgent issue at that meeting, saying if we start to fix these problems now, tomorrow, we still might not be having these systems in place in time for the 2020 elections. That seems to be a big warning coming from the chairman of Senate Intel. This is going to take money to fight this as well. What are you doing about funding this effort?
So the omnibus bill that's coming out actually today that we all got the copy of last night does include about $350 million for additional grant funding for those states that cannot audit their elections. Again, I remind people, states are the responsible party for actually making sure their election equipment is up to speed and that is protected. But for the states that are dragging behind, we don't want to affect an entire nation based on their inaction in that state. So we want to incentivize them to be able to step in, get their equipment, get their software up to speed. Every Secretary of State, every election official in the country wants to be able to have secure elections. There's no exception to that. But for those that are lagging behind actually getting it done, we want to be able to help them get that done, so there are some dollars being set aside for it.
Senator, moving on to another big story today, we continue to follow this data misuse story with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg issuing a formal apology and a statement regarding all of this. There have been calls for him to testify and answer questions on Capitol Hill. Do you think that's necessary?
I think it is necessary to get folks from Facebook, but also a lot of other entities. People have lost track of the fact that for years the internet has run, and a lot of these companies have run on free apps based on harvesting data from individual users. When you click agree to all those different usages, most people don't read what they're clicking to agree to, but they're harvesting data, they're selling that data. There are individual firms going back to all the way to the Obama election. They were very proud in 2008 of the data that they had harvested from all these different app users all over the country and put it together for an election. So this is not new, and I know President Trump's being attacked by the left on this particular issue as if it's something different. This has been around for a very long time, and these different social media companies need to explain how they're protecting people's data.
Interesting stuff. I've got to leave it there, but Senator Zuckerberg also left the door open to potentially more regulations or regulations in general for these social media companies. Do you think that's necessary?
I think only the data needs to be protected. It's a free speech group. The federal government needs to stay out of the free speech business and allow that to be able to be out there. But when people's data is used and abused and sold, that is a different issue.
Interesting stuff. Senator Lankford, thanks for your time this morning.
You bet.
It feels like we're just at the beginning of this story.